Okay, bottom of page 98. Okay, just going through this nice and slow. Okay, just again to try and get our heads around this. So now we're going to look at banking and financial services. Okay, so offshore banking. Now we've already looked at that word offshore. I've made this little note out here to try and help us understand. It's like a little flow diagram. You can add that to your book or to your notes. Okay, I'll give you headings and stuff in just a moment. So I would change are to were. There were over 200 subsidiaries of other countries' banks located in Nassau. Okay, now again, I'll show you what that word subsidiaries means. We'll write down a definition. What a subsidiary is a version or a branch, essentially. Okay. 1 second, just making a note. Okay, so there are over 200 subsidiaries of other countries' banks. So, for example, Scotia Bank. Okay, let's say that's a Canadian bank, but they have branches or subsidiaries of their bank down here. Okay, so any foreign-owned bank that has a branch or has an actual physical store in the Bahamas, that's a subsidiary. All right. Now, they're mainly Swiss and American. Okay, Swiss are famous for banking, and America is a huge banker as well. Now, some important stuff. Only foreign currencies are handled. There's nothing to do with the Bahamas in here. Okay, once you go into those stores, you're totally in the. If you go to Swiss Bank or any of those things, okay, Deutsche Bank is a German one, Bank of England, Bank of Scotland, okay, they only deal in foreign currency. They don't care for the Bahamian dollar. Now, the banks receive funds from their parent bank. Okay, so the parent bank is where the main bank is. So again, let's use Swiss Bank. The headquarters would be in Switzerland. The parent bank would be in Switzerland, but they've opened a branch in the Bahamas. So the Bahamian branch or the subsidiary bank receives funds from their parent bank. Okay, or companies dealing with the bank. This money can then be held, okay, in the Bahamas. Invested means to be spent elsewhere, all right, or loaned abroad to other banks. Now the key thing is without loaned through other offshore banks without having to pay tax, okay, and without having or being subject to exchange control. I'll get to exchange control in a moment. So essentially, Swiss Bank headquarters in Switzerland. They open a branch in the Bahamas where there's no tax. They do lots of transactions in Switzerland, okay, but then they send over all of their profits or funds, whatever they want to send over to the Bahamian branch where there's no taxes on their money, okay, and then from there, that money can be sent anywhere to do anything. It can be held there to be saved. It can be invested in other companies or be loaned out to other banks, whatever they want. And there's no tax on that. Whereas if they did it from Switzerland, they'd pay huge taxes. There's also this thing called exchange control, which I'll get to in a second. I've done the first bit of the flow diagram here. American Swiss Bank, send profits to Bahamas, pay no tax and charges, held in Bahamas, sent or invested elsewhere. So again, none of the money really enters the Bahamas, but what does happen is the Bahamas can have little charges and costs for this service, and that's why it is a service industry, a tertiary industry. Okay. Secondly, then there's also this thing called exchange control, and you'll all experience this when you start going on holidays or when you move abroad. When you go somewhere, you have to change your money, or else you can't spend it. Okay. Now, if banks are doing transactions as they do every day, sometimes hundreds of millions of pounds, if the Swiss bank wants to send money to a place in England, the English government will say, right, well, you have to change all that currency into our currency, and then we'll keep the difference or whatever else. Okay, there'll be taxes on how much you're changing, okay, because they charge you to change currency. You'll hate it when you get older, trust me. When you go to, even going to America, you hand in $100, you only get like 90 back or something. So again, that's what happens with exchange control. Now remember, these banks we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars. All right, so it is a control on the import and export of money. Think about the taxes you pay when you import something into this country, say a pair of trainers or a car. Governments want exactly the same for money. If you're going to trade with money, If you're just sending money from country to country, the government will make sure that they get a cut. Okay, so permission is required to transfer money in or out of a country, and there may be limits, taxes, stamp taxes, charges on any amount transferred. Okay, all of this is avoided if the funds are handled by an offshore subsidiary. Remember, little subsidiary is just a small branch of a bank. Bahamian exchange control only applies to Bahamian money, not to offshore money. So it only applies to Bahamian money. Let's come back up here. Okay, only foreign currencies are handled. So the Bahamian government said, we won't charge any exchange fee. Okay, you bring in dollars and then you trade them away again in dollars. You bring in Swiss euros, then you trade them away again in Swiss euros. We won't make you exchange the money. All right, so they save hundreds of millions of dollars. So what I've done here, I've added the American or Swiss bank sends the profits to Bahamas. There's no exchange changes or charges. No changing of currency and losing money, and then bam, we're back into being held in the Bahamas, and then it can be sent anywhere. Okay, so that's how that system works. This bit is important, so please spend some time getting your head around that. Okay, also you can write question 9. This is an example for question 9 later on. There's 3 main exchanges that go on. Okay, euro dollar loans, so US dollars being sent to European countries. Over 100 billion is transferred annually. Now think it's actually probably decreased a lot because they stopped it. They brought in a lot of laws. Euro currency, lending of European money to anybody else, and payments for oil, which is one of the biggest products in the planet. All right, we're going to jump on to the next page. All right, so just wait a sec. Okay, so just up here on the top of page 99. All right, now again, the next one we have, okay, one type of banking is offshore banking. The next one we have something called international business companies, IBCs. Again, you can write question 9 beside this, but you're going to look at offshore trusts very quickly as well. You can write question 9 down there. If you think about what this name means, it means nothing. What is a business company? Okay, all businesses are companies, and all companies are involved in business. So the IBCs were something that was a big deal years ago. Okay, IBC, they still exist today, but in the next kind of 2 years, all of them will be closed down. Okay, so due to pressure from developed countries, okay, coordinated by the OECD, we look at them in a second, the Bahamas was forced to pass new laws governing or in charge of IBCs in the year 2000. In 2000, a big change happened in the Bahamas. Okay, so the Banking Act almost stopped offshore banking, and it really did stop IBCs. Okay, the laws made it impossible for the owners of companies to remain anonymous, remain hidden, remain in secret, and as a result, many of these companies have left the Bahamas. All right, so again, I'm just going to move this over here a little bit so we can see. I've done another little flow diagram. So this time, let's imagine there's a company or business in London. Okay, what they'll say, and they have to pay lots of tax. So any profits this company makes in England, they have to pay lots of tax. All right. It says it has a partner or parent company in the Bahamas, and they send all the profits here. Okay, and again, same old story. No tax because the UK government can't identify the owner. So if I own my business here and say, oh yeah, look, I have a partner company or a parent company over in the Cayman Islands, and when I declare my taxes at the end of the year or my profits, I'll just say, oh, I only made this much profit. They're like, well, we think you made more. It's like, well, no, I have to send it all to Cayman, okay, because that's where my parent company is, and the UK government cannot go and identify who those people are. They just have to believe me. Okay, unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, since 2000, that's kind of stopped now, and by 2021 it'll have stopped completely. All right, there'll be no more of these.